Greetings and salutations. Today we'll be covering the 1960 Chinese Mount Everest expedition, as it stands as a monumental achievement, supposedly making it the first successful ascent of Mount Everest via the treacherous North Ridge. The team's indomitable spirit and unwavering determination was said to have let them reach the pinnacle of this formidable peak on the fateful morning of May 25th at precisely 4:20 a.m. It had taken years of meticulous preparation to pave the way for this historic expedition. In 1955, a group of 4 athletes under the leadership of Zhu Jing embarked on a voyage to Soviet Transcaucasia in order to delve into the intricacies of mountaineering through particularly difficult terrain. Their expedition would bear fruit in 1957 when 6 intrepid mountaineers, including Shi Jiangchun and Liu Lamen, triumphantly conquered Minya Konka, etching their names in the annals of domestic mountaineering history. Bolstered by this achievement, the Soviet Union would go on to propose a Sino-Soviet joint climbing team to tackle Mount Everest. Initially scheduled for May 1959, their expedition faced an unfortunate delay due to unrest in Tibet during that year. Undeterred, the Chinese government undertook crucial measures by constructing a 380-kilometer road from Shigatse to the Everest base camp and establishing a vital weather station in said location. However, the ever-shifting political landscape shattered all hopes of a joint expedition as the Sino-Soviet split deepened, prompting the Soviet Union to recall all their equipment. Nevertheless, undeterred by the setback, the Chinese government recognized the symbolic significance of conquering Mount Everest and thereby allocated a substantial sum of $700,000 to procure state-of-the-art mountaineering equipment from Switzerland, mirroring the financial investment made for the prestigious First National Games of China. The ascent of Mount Everest took a profound national importance, which entwined with the forthcoming China-Nepal border negotiations, as the very status of this majestic peak remained subject of dispute. In February 1960, the Chinese Everest team emerged, a formidable force consisting of 214 members. Han Fudong, renowned for his leadership during the heroic Battle of Tashan in the Chinese Civil War, assumed the role of director. Shi Jiangchun and Zhu Jing, distinguished mountaineers in their own right, took the mantle of leader and deputy leader, respectively, their expertise serving as beacons of guidance amidst the formidable challenges that lay ahead. Notably, the team also included the esteemed geologist Wang Mingyi, whose invaluable insights would potentially illuminate the geological mysteries of the majestic Mount Everest. The stage was set for an unprecedented chapter in mountaineering history, as the 1960 Chinese Mount Everest expedition would embark united under a shared vision and fueled by the unyielding spirit to conquer the roof of the world. It was noted that acclimatization expeditions played a crucial role in the 1960 Chinese Mount Everest expedition, as the team endeavored to acclimatize themselves to the harsh conditions and the unforgiving terrain for summiting the mighty peak. On March 3, 1960, a formidable team of 192 members arrived at Everest Base Camp, carrying with them several tons of equipment essential for their ascent and the arduous undertaking that was the Mount Everest summiting. With unwavering determination, they would go on to establish 3 camps in particularly strategic locations. Camp 1 was at the base of the East Rongbuk Glacier at 5,400 meters. Camp 2 was in the central part of the glacier at 5,900 meters, and Camp 3 was in the imposing North Col at 6,400 meters. As the journey progressed, the main members of the climbing team reached base camp on March 19th, heralding the commencement of the acclimatization expedition. On March 25th, the first expedition set forth, moving crucial equipment to Camp 3 and successfully identifying a route beyond the North Col. The second expedition, launched on April 6th, went on to witness the establishment of the fourth camp at a staggering altitude of 7,007 meters. Undeterred by the treacherous conditions, a third acclimatization expedition embarked on April 29th with the ambitious goal of setting up an advanced camp at an astounding altitude of 8,500 meters. Battling against formidable winds, the team faced arduous challenges and could only reach the altitude of 7,600 meters by the following evening. In a turn of events, on the evening of May the 2nd, a select group comprising of Shi Junchun, Zhu Jing, and members Lakpa, Tersing, and Migmar embarked on a daring mission, whose objective was to chart a route ascending to the altitude of 8,100 meters. However, once again, due to unforeseen circumstances, the transport team failed to keep pace. At least 4 members, including Gonpo, would have to return to 7,600 meters. Shi Junchun would pass on, surmounting the challenges of the second step, selecting a route towards the summit, or at least that is what the claims are. Following the third expedition, the toll of the relentless conditions became apparent, with over 50 team members, including Shi Shanchun, succumbing to severe frostbite to the point that they were forced to withdraw from the expedition. However, in the corridors of power within Beijing, Marshal He Long monitored the team's progress closely and issued a resolute command they would push forward no matter the cost. This command would later be the source of later questioning. On May 17th, the final expedition commenced, making for the culmination of their arduous journey. In the afternoon of May 23rd, Zhu Jing, Wang Fuzhou, and Liu Lenmen, along with Gunpo, supposedly braved the elements and established the advanced camp at a staggering 8,500 meters. Joining them at the camp was Ku Yinhe and the dedicated transport team, with a rather reinforced, now unwavering commitment to the mission. As the expedition reached its climactic juncture, the culmination of years of preparation and a severe amount of added pressure meant that the fate of the very lives of the Chinese Mount Everest expedition hung in the balance. They would succeed at all costs. As the sun pierced through the frost-laden peaks of Mount Everest on the morning of May 24th, a 4-member team would embark on the treacherous ascent, their every step shrouded in a curtain of uncertainty. The weight of their monumentous undertaking and the pressure from their government rested on their shoulders and pushed them forward, fueled by the determination and the duty to reach the summit. The formidable journey, however, was not without its challenges. The toll of the grueling ascent soon left its mark on Zhu Jing, who found himself succumbing to exhaustion. Yun He stepped forward, taking his place and shouldering the burden of the team's aspirations. Undeterred by the setback, they pressed onwards, their spirits undiminished. At noon, the climbers found themselves confronted by the imposing second step, a seemingly insurmountable obstacle that had defied their every attempt to conquer it. It was a critical juncture that Liu Linman would face, drawing from his experience as a fireman. He would go on to propose an audacious solution. Supposedly, they would tackle the problem with a human ladder. The team would acquiesce to this plan, driven by both desire and the need to succeed, supposedly with a great amount of trust. Ku Yunhe removed his mountaineering shoes, his feet meeting the shoulders of Liu Linman, and together they would supposedly defy gravity by navigating the treacherous terrain with ice picks and safety ropes, inching their way closer and closer still to their ultimate goal. At long last, when the clock struck 5 p.m., they triumphantly scaled the formidable second step. However, their journey was far from over. Liu Linman men chose to remain in a cave beneath the cliff, watching over their path. The remaining team, led by Wang Fuzhou, forged ahead, ascending into the higher realms of the ethereal mountain. Yet, even as their breaths grew labored and their strength waned, they had no choice but to continue climbing. At a breathtaking altitude of 8,800 meters, the team's oxygen reserves were depleted, the thin air providing a haunting reminder of their fragile mortality. However, it was in the face of adversity that their determination shone the brightest. As the clock struck 4:20 a.m. on the morning of May 25th, they stood at the pinnacle of human achievement, the summit of Mount Everest, or at least supposedly they did. Their triumph was to be a testament of the indomitable spirit of the human soul. For an awe-inspiring 15 minutes, they basked in the glory of their conquest. In homage to their nation, they supposedly left a 20-centimeter statue of Mao Zedong along with a national flag and a paper note, with the intent of forever etching their names in the annals of history. However, with heavy hearts, they were unable to, or supposedly unable to, take any photographs of their achievement. And slowly but surely, they would descend to 8,500 meters by the stroke of 9 p.m. and further still to 6,400 meters by May 28th. By May 30th, the entire team had returned to base camp, their burdens now lifted and their safety assured due to the triumphant feat they had accomplished. Amidst jubilant celebrations, and with hearts filled with pride, a ceremony befitting their remarkable achievement would unfold at base camp on June the 1st. However, the scars of their extraordinary endeavor would not be easily forgotten. Gu Yinhe, in a testament to his unwavering commitment, paid a heavy price, losing all 10 of his toes and his right index finger to the ruthless grips of frostbite. And so, the 1960s Chinese Mount Everest expedition etched its name into the annals of history and into the collective memory of Chinese national pride. The 1960 Chinese expedition team found themselves in a peculiar predicament. A lack of photographic evidence to validate their remarkable feat was a glaring issue, which cast severe amounts of doubt upon their claim. This would ignite a continuous debate within the international mountaineering community, particularly due to the knowledge that they were given an ultimatum by their government to succeed. Initially, they were met with skepticism from the West. This was due to the absence of visual proof at the summit, due to their supposed statue, flag, and letter not being anywhere to be seen on the top of the mountain. The question of how could such a monumental achievement, such as the conquest of Everest's formidable heights through one of its most difficult paths, be substantiated without a single photograph to bear witness, or even any remains at the summit to validate their claims. Yet, as the passage of time unveiled, additional evidence and insights do lend themselves to a potential shifting narrative. The puzzle pieces would start to align, and some within the international mountaineering community would come to acknowledge the credibility of the 1960 Chinese expedition. However, the consensus would remain elusive, and divergent opinions continue to persist. Seasoned mountaineers and individuals intimately acquainted with the treacherous slopes of Everest have expressed reservations regarding the sufficiency of evidence contained within the reports. This is to include the rather unique method that the team used to surmount part of the mountain. The absence of photographic documentation from the summit, coupled with the disappearance of the supposed plaster statue, posed lingering questions which would demand answers. However, despite these lingering doubts, the weight of accumulating evidence, particularly the similarities between the descriptions of the path that was taken by the mountaineering team to that of the actual summiting route, do lend some credence to their claims. Further still, detailed documents in the 1960 expedition report, such as the distinctive features of the third step and the terrain near the summit, had a striking resemblance to those noted by subsequent summit attempts from the north side of the mountain. This uncanny alignment has lent some credibility. However, the burden of proof has not been met for many. Moreover, the once unfathomable notion of climbing without supplemental oxygen would later be dismissed as an impossibility has gradually become accepted as a reality, as more mountaineers test their limits and push the boundaries of human endurance. However, the mystery over whether or not the 1960 Chinese Mount Everest expedition did achieve the summit through the path they intended remains elusive. With no definitive consensus reached amongst international mountaineering communities, it seems the summit's secrets remain veiled in mystery in the unforgiving embrace of Mount Everest's icy peaks. The question of whether or not the intrepid climbers of the 1960 Chinese expedition truly conquer Everest's summit remains unanswered. However, with the information available, a timeline can be formed to further inform oneself. Starting in 1955, 4 athletes led by Zhu Jing embarked on a journey to the Soviet Transcaucasia region to study mountaineering through rough terrain. In 1957, 6 mountaineers, including Shi Chun and Liu Leman, summit Minyakonka, setting a domestic mountaineering record. In 1959, unrest in Tibet postponed the Sino-Soviet joint climbing expedition originally planned to summit Mount Everest. Then, in 1960, the Chinese government allocates $700,000 to purchase mountaineering equipment from Switzerland. On February 1960, the Chinese Everest team, consisting of 214 members, is formed with Han Fudong appointed as the director of the team. On March the 3rd, 1960, the team of 192 members arrive at Everest's base camp and set up camp 1 through 3 at various altitudes. On March 25th, 1960, the first acclimatization expedition is launched, with equipment moved to Camp 3 and a route discovered which would take the crew past the North Col. On April 6, 1960, the second acclimatization expedition establishes a 4th camp at 7,007 meters. On April 29, 1960, the third acclimatization expedition attempts to set up an advanced camp at 8,500 meters. However, they are impeded by rather strong winds. On May the 2nd, 1960, Shi Chun, Zhu Jing, Lakpa, Tersing, and Migmar ascend to 8,100 meters in order to chart a route while the transport team lags behind. On May 17, 1960, the final expedition commences with Zhu Jing, Wang Fuzhou, Liu Lumen, and Gonpo setting up an advanced camp at 8,500 meters. On May 24th, 1960, the team sets off for the summit, with Qiu Yunhe replacing the exhausted Zhu Jing. Now, what is claimed that happened on May 25th, 1960 is that at 4:20 a.m., Wang Fuzhou, Gonpo, and Qiu Yunhe reached the summit of Mount Everest, where they spend 15 minutes at the summit, leaving behind a Mao Zedong statue, a national flag, and a note, but they do not capture photographic evidence of their supposed success. On May 28, 1960, the team descends and reaches 6,400 meters. By May 30th, 1960, all members have retreated and reached base camp. On June 1st, 1960, a celebration would be held at base camp. Later, in 1963, the American expedition discovers the plaster statue supposedly left of Mao Zedong had vanished. At present day, the expedition's lack of photographic evidence has left them met with large amounts of skepticism. However, the mounting evidence of corroborating details has persuaded some within the international mountaineering community of the team's successful summit. In summation, the 1960 Chinese Mount Everest expedition remains a subject of intrigue and debate within the mountaineering community and beyond. While the Chinese team claims they successfully reached the summit, their assertions were initially met with heavy skepticism due to the absence of photographic evidence or even the statue of Mao Zedong. However, as more details have come to light, many within the international mountaineering community have been swayed by the alignment of features detailed by the 1960 expedition report due to it matching later summit attempts from the north side. Although some individuals, including experienced climbers who have personally ascended Everest, continue to express doubts about the adequacy of the evidence presented by the Chinese team, it is worth noting that climbing without supplemental oxygen, and some of the techniques used by the Chinese team are not expressly impossible. The significance of the Chinese expedition and their accomplishments do not seem to be undermined by the doubt surrounding their accomplishment. Ultimately, the question of whether the 1960 Chinese Mount Everest expedition successfully reached the mountain's true summit remains a matter of interpretation as the mountaineering community continues to explore and analyze all evidence available. The legacy of this historic expedition contributes to our understanding of human endurance in the pursuit of monumental achievements. If you remained with me until the end, I thank you, and I do hope you stay tuned and subscribe for more content.